Hello, folks. Happy Monday. It is noon. I am your regular co-host, Seth, but we have a very special guest with us this week. John stepping in for Carly, who's off on an adventure. But very grateful that John is jumping into the chat. And also jumping into the chat first up is Michael Bingham.
Hey,
Of
Michael.
course. Hey, Michael. Good to see you as always. And also always good to see Blossom and Michelangelo. Welcome, folks. We'll give folks just a few seconds here to roll on in. But yeah, Carly's off on an adventure. So thank you very much, John, to taking time out of your stay. You could be using an express pass for Hagrid's right this very second. But
I did that yesterday.
Okay. How did that work out for you?
Behind the scenes, I'm staying at the Royal Pacific Resort at Universal Orlando right now.
Yeah. He's in an undisclosed location. That's why we've got the curtains behind him. Now,
if you've stayed enough hotels at Universal, the curtain behind you.
Yes, exactly. You can give it away, right?
I'm like, I realize I'm working with the unofficial guide person at the moment. I'm like, the curtain should give away where I am.
Yeah. Brian Sager just jumped into the chat to say that he finally caught up on season 2 of Wednesday. Part 1 is out, and I also need to catch up on it. Hope you're surviving that heat wave okay. It has been hot all across the country. I was actually just talking with family in Montreal, and they're like, it's been crazy hot. So, everywhere you go. It's been a very toast. I think that's a lot of why we've seen our summer peak season is no longer a peak season. It's actually crowds have not been that bad the last month or so in the parks, except at Epic. And wait times everywhere else have been really moderate this summer, and I think heat has to play a part in that for sure.
I think that's a contributing factor.
All right. Well, we've got 50-something people here, so why don't we go ahead and kick this show off in 3, 2.
Please lower your head and watch your step while boarding.
Welcome to the Attractions Podcast. You are all clear for dispatch. Have fun.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Attractions Podcast, sponsored by MEI and MEI-Travel. I am Seth.
And I'm John.
And we are here to talk to you about the latest and greatest in theme park news and more, as well as what's going on in our own lives. And normally I would be joined by our co-host Carly, but she is off on an amazing European adventure that may be related to a certain Disney cruise ship, which I'm sure she will be telling us all about when she is back. But stepping in, very grateful that our reporter John Self has picked up the mic today and joined us. John, it's been a little while since you joined us on the podcast, so why don't you reintroduce yourself to our listeners and mention some stuff you've been up to lately?
Mention some stuff. I work primarily as a freelance blogger focusing on food and theme parks, which means that I go to places and eat food and eat food. And I'm working very hard. Spoiler alert, as you can see, I'm in my approaching retirement years. So there's a goal weight that I'm trying to stay under.
Good luck.
And as of this very split second, I'm close.
I feel like you're doing the theme park equivalent of that movie Super Size Me, but hopefully not with his deleterious effects.
And not for religious reasons, because the Twitter handle is Pastor John Self, but not for religious reasons. I do take some fasting days every so often to make sure to recover.
That's a good choice. I know you recently updated an article you had written about SeaWorld's all-day dining plan, basically visiting every single participating restaurant there in a day. And more power to you, because just reading it made me feel full.
Well, I also just updated the Busch Gardens version also.
Okay. And what's the bottom line on those deals? Are they still a good deal as they were when you first wrote about them?
They're not. There were a lot of changes There have been a lot of changes, especially at Busch Gardens regarding food and beverage, and I'll keep some of those to myself because some of those are newsworthy. But
Okay.
and they're in the middle of festivals at the moment. They've taken some of the items and pulled them off the all-day menu. At the very most expensive items, like the
Of course.
$25 entrees.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
SeaWorld's done kind of a little bit of version of that also, which I've updated in the articles.
Mm-hmm.
The weird thing, and I don't think this is going to last at Busch Gardens, but apparently some other United parks are doing it too. Certain items, like they added a double cheeseburger, which is retail price $20.99. And I know for Jeremy, for Manistee Magic, I just wrote a review of that. It'll come out at some point of whether it's worth $20.99.
That's an expensive burger.
Yeah, spoiler alert, that's more than the art burger at Chef Art Smith's Homecoming, just so you have perspective.
Yeah.
But if you're on all-day dining, you have to pay $5 more on top of that.
Upcharge.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
And if you want bacon, you have to spend more. Yes. So
now let me ask: is there an additional 5% or 7%
no,
surcharge on top of that?
Busch Gardens does not do that. SeaWorld still does.
Yeah.
But just to say something positive about Busch Gardens food and beverage, the Toma quick service, Toma at Orange Cafe quick service, the Manolo and Sofia Vergara's company, they opened that this summer. It is now a part of all day dining. It joined all day dining a couple of weeks ago, and it is a really, really good deal with calling it really good food. We're in theme park here,
right? But relatively speaking,
it is arguably one of the better theme park options. If you catch them on a good day, we're starting to compete with Satuli Canteen with their bowls.
Oh, well, that's saying something. So just get the dining and eat 3 meals there, and you get your money's worth.
Exactly. Now I'm overselling them a little bit, but compared to the other options, that's a really good deal. And if you don't work without a lot of work, you can find a deal for all day dining for like $40, $45 at Busch Gardens or SeaWorld.
Yeah. So the key is don't buy it at the park. Look online for discounts for sure. All right. Well, for more SeaWorld and Busch Gardens and other theme park dining tips, be sure to head on over to Attractions Magazine and look for John's articles, as well as about 17,000 other outlets out there.
And many of which I cannot mention for reasons that'll be obvious as we go along.
Sure. As for myself, I have been, since I got back from California, I have been writing furiously and not spending a lot of time in the theme parks. I did take a quick little trip this weekend to Disney Springs to meet up with some old friends at Summer House. They were just finishing up their Flavors of Florida season, and had a really good deviled crab cake on the menu for that. So Summer House never steers me wrong. I could just live on their grilled artichokes. So, all right. Well, without any further ado, why don't we jump right on into the news in the queue? All right, first up in the news in the queue, we are heading to Anaheim, where I just got back from last week. And while I was there, I managed to film the Fantastic Four First Steps projection mapping show that is running for a limited time on Space Mountain in Tomorrowland at Disneyland Park. That's to celebrate the opening of the Fantastic Four film, which is Marvel Studios' first attempt, and I think like the third version or fourth version of trying to get Fantastic Four to be successful. I don't know if you count the Roger Corman version, since that was created to be a failure. But I actually kind of liked the new Fantastic Four movie, especially the production design. It looks great. If you like kind of that retro 60s aesthetic, and they've used some of that, especially the cartoon aesthetic that kind of comes from that old I guess, when was the Fantastic Four cartoon? Do you remember that from your youth? I have vague memories of it. Was it a late 60s or early 70s?
I was going to say mid 70s.
Okay, mid 70s. All right. I remember they brought in Herbie because they couldn't have the Human Torch.
Right.
But all of them are back for the movie, and you can see these animated clips projected onto Space Mountain. To be honest, it's hard to find a good spot in Tomorrowland to film this because of the way that Space Mountain is. Honestly, like probably the only place to really get a good view is if you go up into line for Space Mountain, but they wouldn't let me just stand up there without moving through the queue. So I stood down below and filmed it. It only lasts a couple minutes long. And my favorite effect on it is when they turn the Space Mountain into the orange, rocky structure of Ben Grimm, the Thing, and then it all kind of crumbles and collapses. Neat little show. And it happens every 20 minutes on the fours. So the first one happens around 8:44 p.m. And then they run it at 9:04 p.m., 9:24, 9:44. Keep going until park closing. So maybe not something to really plan a trip around, but definitely something to fit in. Or you can just go to our website, attractionsmagazine.com, and watch the video I shot. Were you did you get a chance to see the new Fantastic Four film yourself?
I have not. I'm actually behind in the Marvel world. I haven't even seen Thunderbolts yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you gotta catch up. There's it's
And
mandatory viewing in our business.
The weird thing for the Disney company is those two movies are considered so much better than some of the previous Marvel movies most recently coming out, but they're not doing well in the box office.
Well, yeah, the economics of it are a whole different story.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me that something can make $500 million and still can be considered a failure. So
yes,
but yeah, that's the world we're in. So next up, we are heading south of the border. We don't often have news about new roller coasters in Mexico, but Six Flags Mexico in Mexico City is getting a brand new coaster in 2026. It's called the Speedway Stunt coaster, and it is a family boomerang coaster that is sort of loosely themed to Hollywood. We've got photos of their concept art, and there's also a teaser video. Did you get a chance to watch this teaser?
I did get a chance to watch this teaser.
It's a short and sweet coaster. I think for this park that is a relatively small park compared to something like a Six Flags Magic Mountain, that it should probably do really well. Definitely capacity constrained because it's a boomerang coaster, can only have one train on the track at a time. So I don't expect the line to move very fast. But I'm curious. They've got this bit. You launch out of the station and backwards and go up a hill, and then that accelerates forwards. And it's got this sharply banked curve in front of a green screen. And I'm wondering if there's going to be some element as you're exiting the ride where you see a video of yourself incorporated into that green screen. That would be neat. And then, it's a boomerang, so it goes kind of around a helix, some curves, and up a very sharp, steep hill. And then you do the whole thing backwards, back to the beginning again. I don't know. I don't usually invest a whole lot of time in boomerang coasters. I think the last one I went on was Montezuma at Knott's Berry Farm because I knew it was closing down and it was a historic ride. I can remember them from Six Flags Great Adventure. I don't know. Can you think of a boomerang coaster that you're a big fan of?
There's really not a boomerang coaster I'm a big fan of, but for theme parks, this is the debate of space and capacity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it is a very compact layout. Your typical roller coaster it takes up a lot of room and is a big investment. And this definitely looks like a very compact and cost-effective design, which is probably smart for a park like Six Flags Mexico.
Yep.
Who knows? Maybe I will check this out because, as I talked about last week, I picked up one of those 2026 season passes that are on sale at all Six Flags / Cedar Fair owned parks across the country. I got mine at Knott's Berry Farm for $120, and I could go to Six Flags in Mexico now if I feel like it. Those passes are on sale through September 1st of this year, and they'll get you into the parks all the way up until 2027. It's a shame we don't have any of those parks here in Orlando, because
that's the thing that keeps me from doing that. I'm like, because I already pay for the Florida Platinum Pass for this United Parks.
Yeah, sure.
So it's like,
yeah, I figured it was an investment. If I can use it one more time between now and 2027, I got my money's worth. So we don't have this ride was just announced on August 4th with the renderings and the teaser video, but no completion date, no opening date yet announced. So keep an eye on their 2026 season, and we'll let you know when that's opening up. All right. If you are a fan of the Muppets, you might want to avert your eyes during our next story here, because our good friend in the sky, Bio Reconstruct, has some aerial photography of Disney Hollywood Studios that will either be thrilling if you are looking forward to the Monsters Inc. door-themed roller coaster and the Monstropolis Land, or will be absolutely traumatic if you were a big fan of the Muppets, because as we've reported many times, Muppet Vision 3D is no more, and the entire courtyard is currently being demolished or rethemed, depending on which building we're talking about. And among the casualties are the Stage 1 company store and the Miss Piggy fountain. Yeah, it hurt my heart a little seeing these photos. How about you?
Well, I mean, the Stage 1, if we haven't grieved that enough already, because that's
closed for years,
so long. But the Miss Piggy fountain, I mean, if that doesn't make its way over to the Rock and Roller Coaster with Muppets, that's a bad move.
I absolutely agree that has to be somehow transplanted over to the Rock and Roller Coaster courtyard. I gotta admit, I was zooming in on these photos of the Stage 1 store to see if I could see any remnants of the Great Movie Caper hotel set. It's been closed for so long, most people don't remember, but a portion of that was themed after the interior of the hotel where the Muppets were in the Great Movie Caper, the second Muppet movie, and there were all sorts of fun little props. I don't think any of them were actually screen used, but they were really great reproductions. And I don't know, I hope some of that got salvaged along with whatever they're salvaging from inside the Muppet Vision show. Who knows, maybe it'll turn up at an auction someday. So go ahead and take a look at the photos we posted online of what's left of the Muppet Vision courtyard. And it's kind of amazing to see how much progress has already been made, both inside the courtyard, but also out in what used to be the employee parking lot, where they're expanding into in order to build the store coaster. Going to be a massive show building. And the question that I have is, there is a pretty important perimeter access road that is used to get to backstage all around the park. And what exactly is going to happen with this road, whether guests are going to be going up and over the road, or the road is going to be going up and over guests. Unless they are going to reroute it to go completely around this new plot, something's going to happen, because there's some important backstage access they still need a way to get to. I don't know. What's your gut feeling on what's going to happen?
I've been leaning towards the building over the access road.
Yeah. It would be great if we could just build it. It'd be great to just build a tunnel, but this is Florida. You dig down a foot and you hit groundwater. But if you look at the concept art, which lines up really well, we've got a great shot from Bio here that almost perfectly lines up with the concept art. The only thing I can think is, if this whole front structure of the show building, or what looks to be the queue building, you enter the first floor, maybe it brings you up and over, and the road is concealed beneath this. I honestly can't really figure it out from the art yet. But somehow cars are still going to need to make their way around the backside of the park. So keep an eye. Bio is up there, I feel like, on a daily basis, hanging out of a helicopter, getting shots for us. So we will be sure to keep you updated as progress on this continues over the next couple of years. All right. Speaking of roller coaster construction, big news over at Universal Studios Florida is that this is your final week to ride Hollywood Ride Rockit. Chiropractors all over the country are crying because they have all bought yachts off of patients who rode Ride Rockit. And August 17th is your very last day to get on there and ride. They're celebrating my birthday on the 18th by starting to tear it down. But very unusual. I can't remember the last time where they started building a ride's replacement before the ride had even closed down.
Yes.
And I know you're over at Universal all the time. Tell people what it's like trying to walk, from the studios over to towards Hard Rock Cafe right now. The construction's crazy.
In fairness, it's the best it's been. The best has been yesterday.
Oh, really? Okay, so I was there a little over a week ago, and I felt like I was going down a cattle chute.
Yes, they've widened that out a little bit.
Great.
And added more theming to the signs and things.
Nice.
But basically, that whole area, if you're familiar with all of the proposed ideas from Ride Rockit or the legendary proposed ideas of Ride Rockit. Right. It's like they're working on that whole area,
It really does appear that the legend you're referring to is some early concept art implied that the ride was really going to go all the way to the waterfront.
Yes.
And it, from where they are clearing land here, I see one of two things happening. One is that they are clearing this land right up against the waterfront in order to make the pathway run there so that the ride can come out further into where the pathway previously was. Or better yet, that's going to be the site of some new footers, and the ride will go up and over a pathway and come all the way out to the waterfront.
Yes.
But either way, it looks like the replacement for Ride Rockit is going to take up a significantly larger footprint than Rocket itself did. That's what I'm reading from all these photos.
Yeah, and there may even be more significant section of it inside the actual park, not just dangling out towards where the guests are.
Yeah. So if you're looking at the video version of this, you can see, as I was saying, there's this narrow pathway that goes from the front of Universal Studios Florida, lined with construction walls, which was just recently widened and improved. You need
widened
somewhat. Okay. But that's how you need to get from the studio side over towards Hard Rock Cafe and then continue on to the front of IOA. Any fans of Roger Waters' The Wall would love you to know that the piece of the Berlin Wall that was used to have graffiti from that 1990 Wall concert sprayed on it, but it's long since washed away. But that chunk of the Berlin Wall is still back behind the Hard Rock, and you can still walk along this pathway. It's right past the CBGB entrance of the backside of Hard Rock. So glad that that's preserved, but what has not been preserved is the access to the front of the Blue Man Group Theater, the side gate to Universal. It was sometimes used for crossover during events. I don't see that coming back anytime soon. What do you think?
No, I missed my side gate opening at 11 o'clock.
I know, the secret gate that you could just slide in there when it was all crowded at the front entrance. You could just slip right through. Yeah, I missed that. But as you mentioned, the construction that's progressing on this is not just on the outside of the studios, but we are also seeing infrastructure taking place back where the sound stages are. And this to me looks like very exciting because there's going to be some new buildings built back here behind Jimmy Fallon that we
Right.
think are going to be queue buildings or maybe even show scenes for the new roller coaster or the new attraction. But what is this going to do to Halloween Horror Nights queues? If you're an ops manager and you are looking at where all this dirt is torn up, I bet you are furiously trying to figure out how you are going to route thousands and thousands of people an hour back to these sound stages and then safely out again without handing out hard hats, right?
Right. I mean, you still have, even in the park itself in the New York area, that large construction wall that's clearly in the way for any HHN house entrances.
Well, it's I am doubtful if they are going to be able to route. Traditionally you would walk straight towards that New York Public Library entrance facade, and they would bring you to the left behind the Ride Rockit G-Clef Helix, whatever they want to call it, and that would pull you back here. Well, this area does not look ready for guests to be walking on it in a few weeks. It is all torn up. It's full of construction equipment, and there's literally giant pipes, foundation being built right where guests would normally be queuing. So they're going to have to find some alternate route and some alternate areas, whether it's inside sound stages themselves, which I personally would love. Especially if we didn't have this as an agenda topic, but it's come out that there's going to be some big changes to Stay and Scream this year. They're no longer using holding pens, but rather they're going to be using wristbands for guests who are eligible, and letting people get into the actual queues as early as 4 p.m. And if those queues are outside, people are going to be dropping like flies.
Yep.
So if it's possible that we could have more queues in sound stages this year, that would be a great solution. But getting them in and out of those sound stages is going to be quite the challenge, because as you mentioned, there's this big construction wall that's blocking off just past the entrance to Jimmy Fallon, and really constricting all the area where we normally would have 1, 2, 3 or 4 house entrances would normally be right around there, right?
Yep. I mean, and then you factor in that the tribute store is going to be not in its normal place farther down.
That's a good point. Traditionally, the tribute store would be in the Macy's facade to the left of Revenge of the Mummy. Instead, this year, it's going to be in the Palace Arcade, which is a much smaller space, I believe. So
it is. Of course, they've closed the gift shop for the Mummy as of today.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. So it will extend through the gift shop as well.
That's
that
what
should be
sorry,
interesting.
we're playing in the world of probable rumors here, but
yeah. Well, I don't know. I maybe they'll have to divide the gift shop so half of it becomes an exit for Revenge of the Mummy and part of it is used. Because I certainly, if I was ops, I would not want people trying to enter a tribute store at the same time people are trying to exit a ride.
No.
The same doors. That'd not be good. We've got tons of bios, aerial photography. We are keeping very careful eye. We are pretty sure based on permits that this is a roller coaster because Intamin has been filed as a contractor. I know there was recently a lot of speculation that this could be either Ghostbusters, based on some green supports that were spotted out at Epic. I've been talking with my co-author on the Unofficial Guides, Alicia Stella, and we're pretty confident this is not a Ghostbusters ride. The old Ghostbusters firehouse could be getting some cleaning up, maybe even getting a meet and greet. But the ride itself, I don't think is going to have a Ghostbusters theme. So, go on a limb and say that.
I don't think you're really going that far on a limb, especially when you can quote the Permit Princess.
Exactly. When in doubt, I trust in Alicia.
Right.
So, all right. Well, that is just about going to bring us to the end of this week's news in the queue. But Before we jump into the main attraction, let's hear a word from our sponsor.
The Attractions Podcast is brought to you by MEI and MEI-Travel. Whether your next vacation is a magical trip to the theme parks, an exciting adventure to the pyramids of Egypt, or just a relaxing cruise on the turquoise waters of the Bahamas, MEI-Travel provides premium service and expert advice to help you get the most of your vacation. They are always free of any hidden fees or costs to you. Visit them at mei-travel.com.
And while we're at it,
our Epic Universe magazine is the ultimate grand opening souvenir for Orlando's newest theme park. It's got 64 pages of photos, vacation planning advice, and behind-the-scenes secrets from all 5 portals: Super Nintendo World, Dark Universe, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, Ministry of Magic, How to Train Your Dragon, Isle of Berk, and Celestial Park. It's not every day a new theme park opens in Orlando, so mark the moment and celebrate history with the Attractions Magazine Epic Universe grand opening issue. Now available at attractionsmagazine.com.
It's time for the main attraction.
And I'm very glad we have John Self on board for this week's main attraction because I'll be honest, I do not spend a lot of time at United Parks, SeaWorld or Busch Gardens, but John does. And so I am really excited to hear his take on some of the statements that came out of the August 7th quarterly earnings call that United CEO Mark Swanson held. He made some really interesting statements on a couple topics, and I want to go over them. The first one is that they remarked that SeaWorld Busch Gardens are in discussions with, quote, multiple potential intellectual property partners to feature globally recognized IP in rides, attractions, and other activations in the parks. So this is about as non-specific as it gets.
Yes.
Did not mention any particular partners, did not mention any kind of timeline or any way, but it shows that SeaWorld recognizes that its competition is all in on intellectual property. With the rarest exception of Celestial Park, we are not seeing Disney or Universal building anything substantial that isn't somehow related to an established intellectual property. And SeaWorld is, they come up with rides all the time that have no established intellectual property. So this to me signals that they are looking to change that. I'm curious, first of all, as someone who goes there a lot, do you think SeaWorld needs more intellectual property beyond Sesame Street, which is the only real intellectual property I associate with Busch and SeaWorld right now? Do you think they need more? And what intellectual property is still out there that is not either owned by Disney or Universal or licensed by Six Flags Cedar Fair, like Peanuts and DC? Like, what is still out there that is possible for them to get?
Well, the language that he used in the nondescript by the generic as possibly implied that we were going to have an IP that would be across all of theirs. We'd see it in Abu Dhabi, we would see it in San Diego, we would see it in Florida somewhere. And when I read this article, because I read it just like all of you did when it came out, and I was like, I don't know what that would be. Now, I do know that this rumor of them wanting to add a big IP has been around for at least 2 years that I'm aware of. But he said it out loud. Okay. And so I don't know what it is, but this is kind of the kind of thing. Anything like this, there's smoke, there's fire. We know they're talking to someone. Now, maybe it's a lesser IP we're not even thinking of.
Yeah. Globally recognized says to me maybe it's not necessarily something that is USA centric or focused, but it could be something that's very popular, in Asia and in Europe.
Yeah.
I pretty much like, all of the big brands that, are either owned by Disney or Universal, with exception of stuff that's owned by Amazon now. Amazon's the only real big intellectual property owner that doesn't have a long-term partnership with one of the big theme park brands yet. though that could be changing with James Bond in Universal.
Yeah, I was gonna say yet.
Right, yeah, that has been formally announced, right?
Right.
And then past that, I'm thinking maybe anime. There's a lot of anime properties that do not have any kind of U.S. theme park presence. Universal in Japan has jumped in on a lot of those, but I'm sure there are properties out there that I am not at all aware of that Gen Z and Gen Alpha are into.
Right. Well, this is the dilemma. I mean, obviously, I'm very familiar with the 2 Florida parks and their water parks, and there's talk of adding some IP to their water parks also.
Interesting. Okay.
So I don't even know how that works.
Yeah.
But both Busch Gardens, Tampa Bay, and SeaWorld Orlando are struggling with. We want more indoor rides. We want more family attractions. But we've also committed to being coaster parks.
Yeah.
So we need to have the first Giga coaster in Florida.
Sure.
And so how do you do both?
Right. Yeah. It's kind of
budget.
Yeah. I mean, you could argue that ever since SeaWorld started shifting their reason of being, their core message away from live animals, for lots of legitimate reasons, they've kind of lost track of what their actual focus is. Are they a coaster thrill park? Are they a Sesame Street, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer family park? Are they a food festival, music festival park? They tried to be a little bit of everything, and I don't know if they've really found what clicks. A real world-class dark ride with a IP, but I don't see SeaWorld investing the money long term to build a major dark ride like that and keep it running too. That's the tough part.
That's the hard part.
Every time I just my heart. I was just watching a YouTube documentary on the rise and fall of Curse of Dark Castle, which I think was the last time that the Busch company said we are going to go all out and build a Disney or Universal worthy dark ride, and then watch it decay over the course of 10 years. So I don't know. The last big indoor attraction we saw was the Flying Theater attraction that just opened at SeaWorld Orlando. I know I've said on this show that while I appreciate they went out and shot actual live animals, I wish the video quality was better. I wish the screen, it was not able to immerse me because of the technical flaws.
Well, it's an off-the-shelf ride.
It is, yes,
and so it's a good one, and it's a good use of space.
The actual ride hardware, the way that it rotates you into position, and the degrees but the programming of it and the video production quality, it's no soaring in my book. That's all I gotta say. All right, so next up, more SeaWorld discussion. Something else that came up is that United Parks and Resort owns significant developable land around many of their parks, and they singled out SeaWorld Orlando. One of the things that Mark Swenson said in this call was, quote, they own over 2,000 acres of valuable real estate in desirable locations, including approximately 400 acres of undeveloped land adjacent to their parks, including significant developable land in Orlando. So it goes from 2,000 acres, 4,000 acres to significant. So I'm not sure exactly how much land they have in Orlando, but they have been talking for quite a while about building hotels and making themselves into a resort destination. I'll be honest, I don't know anyone who goes to SeaWorld who stays at a hotel at SeaWorld. There is a decent hotel right across the street, but we've heard buzz over the years that they wanted to integrate a hotel into their property. So this is another hint they could be working on that.
Yeah, if they were to build, say, a deluxe hotel or more value style hotel and integrate it into Aquatica, Discovery Cove, and SeaWorld Park itself, and then have the shuttle to Busch Gardens, which they have the free shuttle from Orlando that takes you to Busch Gardens, which I take on a somewhat regular basis these days.
Really? How
Yeah, I
I've
mean, I
never
used, I
I've
used,
never taken that. What's it like?
I mean, I used to take it a lot when it was
Uh-huh.
much closer to the condo where I'm at, but now they've stopped that. It's pretty straightforward. I mean, you're on it's Mears coaches.
And you just need a ticket to Busch
You just
Gardens?
need a ticket and then make a reservation in advance.
Okay. Can you do it with an annual pass, or does it have to be a day
Yep,
ticket?
you can annual pass as long
Wow.
as you have ticket media.
And where do you go take it from?
Right now, probably the easiest place is at SeaWorld.
Okay. All right. So you can park at SeaWorld and then
Mhm.
hop on the bus, and then it brings you back. Does it is it just like one run each
It's
way
one
per day?
run.
Uh-huh.
Usually it'll get you to Busch Gardens around 10:30, 11
Okay.
o'clock.
So you're not going to rope drop.
You're not rope dropping and you're not
Uh-huh.
staying until park close.
Gotcha.
Usually the shuttle comes back depending on park hours, 5:15 or 7:15.
Okay. So it's a short day.
Right.
But
It
yeah,
didn't cost you anything.
yeah, unless you miss that shuttle, and then that's a long Uber ride.
That's a long Uber ride,
Yeah.
which I do know how long that Uber ride is approximately from there back to the condo. So
Oh no.
So it's not too bad, but they could pull that into and I know from my interactions with guests that the United.
Oh, we may have just lost John briefly. Yeah, so the maybe the Wi-Fi. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, sorry.
You're back. You just dropped out. We are blaming the Wi-Fi at the Royal Pacific. You did not pay for the upgraded Wi-Fi.
I did not pay for the upgraded Wi-Fi, but based on their percentage of international guests is probably equal to, if not greater, per capita as Universal and Disney gets.
Okay.
And so that's really a market that if they could market that as a whole package and then say, stay with us and then go a day at Epic.
Sure. Yeah, because it's Epic is very convenient to SeaWorld. And I think that is going to be our next topic of conversation. And I'll start chatting while John reconnects.
Sorry.
But this was not actually on our discussion list, but we had a link inside the other article that we just read to this. And I thought it would be an interesting. You mentioned Epic, and we've been updating this article for quite a while of how SeaWorld Orlando prepared for the opening of Epic Universe. And we've had various statements from the SeaWorld executives going back over the last couple of years about what they thought Epic Universe would do to their earnings. Well, now they've had their first quarterly earnings call since Epic Universe opened, and it really does sound like Swanson is tired of talking about it. He literally says at the end of his statement, "We really hope we don't have to discuss this topic again. We do not plan on making it normal practice." But he did flat out say that Epic not only did not hurt attendance at SeaWorld Orlando, but that SeaWorld Orlando attendance has been up ever since Epic Universe opened on May 22nd. Said it was up both for the full second quarter and also measured just from the day that Epic opened through the end of the quarter. And they say that through the day of this statement, that it was still up on a day-to-day basis. So I think we've talked to lots of executives about Epic Universe and its effect on Disney and other attractions, and the universal consensus has always been a rising tide lifts all boats, and that if Epic brings more people into Orlando, the Epic might get the first day, but that some of that will then spill back over to parks like SeaWorld is in a perfect prime position to take advantage of people who are staying at Terra Luna or Stella Nova. It's a real cheap ride over to SeaWorld for the day. And I don't know, I thought the greatest advertisement for SeaWorld was when I was up at Bar Helios. I went up to watch the fountain show, and SeaWorld just happens to schedule their fireworks show just around the same time. So you could see SeaWorld's fireworks show right behind Epic Universe. It was a great advertisement.
Yep.
But so our last topic of conversation here, that SeaWorld's parent company, United Parks and Resorts, has plans to open 2 additional international theme parks, and they plan on nailing that down with signed memorandums of understanding by the end of this year. And we should know more about where these new theme parks will be in coming months. I would not expect any of these to be in the United States. These are going to be international parks. Could be Europe, Asia, the Middle East. I, had the privilege of covering the opening of SeaWorld Abu Dhabi, and they have said that that's kind of a model for how their future international parks could be owned and operated. And I think that's interesting because they do not own or operate SeaWorld in Abu Dhabi. They basically sold their name, their expertise, their brand, and the Miral folks in Abu Dhabi in the UAE did, I think, a better job of building a SeaWorld than SeaWorld's done in a long time. So this is interesting. Where could you see another SeaWorld going around the world?
Well, building on our IP idea, one of the rumors has always been somewhere in Europe.
Yeah.
And it would be easier to get one of the will be internationally recognized there. But I don't know where it would go because you're not putting it in Spain. You're not putting it in, I don't know.
Yeah. The tricky thing in Europe is that regulations on live captive animals are even stricter than they are in the United States. So that might be an uphill regulatory climb for them. Maybe there's somewhere else. I don't know, having one in Abu Dhabi, if it makes sense to put another one in Saudi Arabia or something. But India is definitely an emerging market. Other parts of Asia, maybe. There's already a SeaWorld in Australia, but it has nothing to do with SeaWorld.
Yeah, and I'm just completely speculating here. I put no research in this whatsoever.
Yeah.
What about South America?
I was just going to say South America. That could also be, because I know that SeaWorld is very popular with South American tourists.
Yeah, and Brazil is still one of the fastest growing countries around.
Economies. Yeah. Yep. Those are all real great possibilities, and we will have a lot more to discuss when SeaWorld does announce where these two new international parks are going to go, hopefully in the next few months. All right. Well, I think that is going to about wrap up this week's news. Before we wrap it up, though, I want to take a look back at a few of the comments that we got. Michael Bingham is a fan of the all-day dining at SeaWorld, says he usually does it every time he gets a chance. Giles Wells also is headed to Knott's, like I did, for the first time at the end of the month. Giles, I definitely recommend you take a look at that discount they're running right now on that annual pass, because if you just use it one more time, definitely will pay off. Michael Bingham wishes that Six Flags would come here to Florida. There has been so much speculation over the years about a possible Six Flags park in Florida, but it's never ever paid off. So who knows? Maybe someday. Let's see, what else have we got here? All right, we've got a long comment here from Spencer Burt. Says he couldn't see someone staying at SeaWorld Hotel and doing several days, but incorporating SeaWorld and Sesame Street into a hotel. Maybe with some activities in the hotel for families to do, a resort-style pool with some slides, and they could still visit SeaWorld with one day, Busch Gardens another day, and they'd be close to Universal and Disney. I think they need some folks who think like you in SeaWorld's marketing development department.
Yep, Nickelodeon hotels have come and gone, but that's a comparable thing.
Yep. And we've seen Legoland, they keep building hotels out there because that brand is strong enough to get people to drive out to Lakeland and stay in the middle of nowhere overnight. So
you mean Winter Haven?
I'm sorry, Winter Haven. Winter Haven, my bad. So thank you all for your comments. And before we go, I also want to thank our sponsors, MEI and Mouse Fan Travel, once again, and remind you to pick up a copy of our Epic Universe magazine at our website. Also, please give us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to us. And also give us a like and subscribe here on YouTube. Please be sure to follow us at attractionsmagazine.com and search for Attractions Magazine on your favorite social media accounts. John, where can folks follow you on the interwebs?
Probably easiest way not to get me in trouble in this podcast is going to be on Twitter or X at Pastor John, Jon, because H's are ooh. And then also at Instagram at john.self.37.
Excellent. And you can find me, as always, at S. Kuberski or at The Unofficial Guides. And you can pick up copies of my guidebooks at theunofficialguides.com. And until next week, we hope you folks stay safe, try something new, but most importantly, have fun. I will be off next week celebrating my birthday, but I will be back soon, and my co-host will be back, and we will see you again very soon. Thanks again one more time to John Self for stepping in. And hope everyone stay safe, try something new, but most importantly, have fun. Take care.